Time now for one of our interview segments presented by Marcus & Mack, a law firm representing injured people. Americans are facing a lot of stress these days, according to the most recent reports from the American Psychological Association. So if we're facing a lot of stress, could some of that stress actually do us a world of good? Or is it a lot of it that we're experiencing, a lot of the negative kind that could tear us down in the health-related manners? Joining us on the phone today is Dr. Agatha Sylvia, who is the author of The Shift, How to Become Everything You've Ever Wanted Without Giving Anything Up. And Dr. Sylvia, thank you very much for joining us here on Indiana in the Morning this morning.
Well, thank you for having me on your show. I'm really excited to talk about this topic.
All right. Well, first off, let's go ahead and dive right into it because because with going through the pandemic that we've just gone through and seeing everything as far as the news and the financial matters that people are probably facing, there are a lot of stressful stimuli out there, and it seems to kind of be constantly hammering us in the face.
Absolutely. It's constant. It's whether it's internal, work, family, out there, the world, the pandemic, everyone is taking in huge amounts of stress. And the reality is that it's the bad kind of stress, not the good kind. So you mentioned, can this be good for you? Well, the interesting thing is that small amounts of stress or even moderate amounts of stress are good for you. That's our natural ability to manage and react to something threatening. So it helps you react quickly. It helps you focus. It helps you stay sharp. It increases energy. So in short term, stress is good. The problem is that we're constantly stimulated and we're constantly stressed. And that's the bad kind.
So you mentioned there is the difference between good stress and bad stress in these cases, and how it sounds like the good stress kind of sharpens the steel that we all have in our minds. How can we tell the difference between good and bad stress?
Well, essentially it's the same response, but is the response to a stimuli that is threatening? For example, are you walking down a dark alley or something happening in the moment that you are reacting to and focusing on? Or is it something that you're experiencing all the time, constantly? Because what stress does is it actually causes you or your body to constrict the blood vessels. Now, if you're being threatened, you need your heart to speed up, so that's a good thing. If you're constantly being in stress and your heart is constantly speeding up, it's going to put you into risk of heart disease. So if you're constantly feeling like that, that's not good. The other thing it does is it suppresses the immune system. So if you're running away from a tiger or a stranger, you don't need your immune system in that moment. But if you're constantly being stressed out, your immune system starts to shut down. You get skin conditions, you get sick, you get diseases. And then there's your digestion that gets shut down when you're being threatened by a stranger or a tiger, right? You don't need to digest your food right in the moment.
Right.
But if you're constantly sick all the time, you're getting, stomach issues. So all those things, chronic things, are a sign that you're doing this all the time.
So how do we change the way we think about stress and welcome it instead of just complaining about it all the time? I guess one of the things it sounds like is to reduce the amount of it in our lives.
That's a great question. I think it's really important for people to realize that we first need to be aware, and that's sort of the first step, is to realize what you're thinking about, to be aware of your thoughts. What are you focusing on? Are you focusing on, that stranger in the dark alley or something that is negative that you need to learn from or maybe improve? Or are you focusing on things that are out there, like the world, that you can't control? And once you are aware of that, it helps you kind of tone it down, dial it down a little bit. And then the second step would be to focus on what you can control. So maybe, you don't like your boss, and you can't change your boss, but you can change the way you respond to your boss, the way you behave with your boss. So sort of focus on the things that you can influence, you can have impact on. And the third thing, and this is really key, is to start to find ways to feel good. So release the feel-good hormones. So maybe create new habits or start thinking different things or start reading different things or even just shutting down the TV for a little bit or putting your phone away and not scrolling through constant social media. Just give yourself a break and start focusing on the things that are good or could be good in your life, because that changes your body chemistry. It changes the stress level that you're releasing, and it changes the way you look at things.
We're talking this morning with Dr. Agatha Sylvia about how stress can actually be good for us and how we can manage our stress a little bit better. Now, Doctor, I've been doing some reading on stress management, and I've been told, or at least I've been reading, that one of the best stress management tools out there is meditation. So, like you said, it's probably just turning off the TV for a little bit, or kind of taking a step aside for 1 minute could even be as beneficial as anything.
Absolutely. Meditation is really an amazing thing, and it's something I actually do talk about in my book as well, and I help through a system, help people sort of create a different focus when you're thinking about and you're sitting in a place where you're meditating. And what it does is it allows your mind to go in a different direction, and it shuts down all the other stimuli around you. So meditation, 100%, you're so right, is the first step to start to create a different pattern in your brain.
And it's actually quite an easy thing to do. It's not as complicated as people might think it is.
Mm-hmm. And you don't have to spend 2 hours doing it. You can spend a few minutes a day, and it changes the whole way you look at things that day.
Excellent. What are some other things that people could keep in mind whenever they, aside from kind of eliminating the external stimulus, if you will, what are some other things that people can do to better improve the way they handle stress?
Well, the one thing, we all hear about exercise, right? A lot of people know that they should exercise, but they don't. But the thing about exercise is it helps you get your body moving, heart pumping in a good way, and allows you to sort of clear your mind and think different thoughts. So that's number one for me anyways. I'm a runner, so I love that feeling when I go out and I can just be by myself and think good things. The other thing is really, doing something for other people. So, small acts of kindness that really make you feel good about you as well. So if you can't do anything for yourself in the moment, maybe do something nice for somebody else. I don't know, open the door, or smile, or just greet somebody that you normally wouldn't. And it actually does change your body chemistry, and it does begin that process of healing.
It's good that you're talking about that, because today happens to be, as we call it up here, 143 Day in Pennsylvania, which celebrates a lot of what Mr. Rogers taught about the many ways to say I love you and to do kindness for other people. So I'm glad you mentioned that.
Well, that's a great way to start today, right? Of all days. This
Yep.
is the day that maybe add that one more good thing today and tell the world that you love it.
All right.
And good vibes out there. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, so let's talk about your book really quick, The Shift, How to Become Everything You've Ever Wanted Without Giving Anything Up. I'm assuming that it's available at many of the major retailers now?
Yes, and you can find it on my website, dragatha.com, and that'll point you in the direction of where you can purchase it.
Well, Dr. Agatha Sylvia, thank you very much for joining us here on Indiana in the Morning. All the best to you, and have a wonderful day, all right?
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Dr. Agatha Sylvia joining us this morning on Indiana in the Morning to talk about how stress can be a good thing in some certain situations. Our interviews are presented by Marcus & Mack, a law firm representing injured people.